Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Housebound Artists with your hosts, Aaron, Thomas, and Justin. And today's interview is with the band Crashing Atlas. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Marina. I'm the singer.
I'm Dougie. I play guitar.
I'm Nick, and I play bass.
So how did Crashing Atlas conceive?
In short, in a bedroom.
As all good things are conceived, right?
Exactly. Exactly. No, I don't know. It was late 2016. I kind of had a vision of a band I wanted to put together, and I was writing songs in my bedroom. And I knew that I wanted to be in a. I've always wanted to be in a female-led band. I always thought that was like the coolest thing. I saw Paramore when I was like 15 or 16 years old, right before they hit it big, and they put a lot of cool thoughts into my head of the potential of that, and then just through various events in our lives, we all kind of came together and started making music together. Where
did the name Crashing Atlas come from?
So that was another weird story, I guess. I'd always like been interested in like Greek mythology and stuff like that. And Atlas, for those who don't know, Atlas was the planet still hold up the sky in the world for all eternity. And I guess it was like one of those like drunken moments, like, well, what if Atlas dropped it? Crashing Atlas.
Far out.
God. Who knew that we could get so deep?
And historical.
What got you into music?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just grew up with music. My parents were both super into it. My mom had a huge obsession with Dave Matthews Band. She took me to concerts since I was like 3 or something, and I just always loved live music, and I liked musicals, and I just thought singing was the coolest and the best thing ever. So I was like, yeah, this is it. This is everything.
So for me, it was kind of similar to Marina. My mom was a really big influence when it came to just music growing up in the household. And she took me to my first concert when I was like 12 or 13 years old, sometime in middle school. And she took me to see Kiss live on one of their farewell tours. And I remember being there growing up and seeing them all on stage, and the pyrotechnics, and they did like fire breathing and stuff on stage, and it was just so cool. I remember telling my mom, I want to do that when I get older. That's really cool. So that's kind of how it started on my end.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit same story as Nick. I mean, my mom took me to see Kiss too for my first show, which is crazy. We talk about that all the time. But I don't know. I just feel like I was like born with a guitar in my hands. I remember seeing the music video for Guns N' Roses' "Welcome to the Jungle," and that's what did it for me. I mean, seeing Axl Rose on that electric chair screaming his head off. I mean, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I don't know what that exactly is, but everything else normal doesn't seem normal to me. I want to go this way. So yeah, that's what got me into it.
So how has the coronavirus affected each of you musically and creatively?
Oh, I mean, we've been writing the new record this whole quarantine, this whole lockdown. I mean, life gets so busy, we all have jobs and things to do and stuff. And as soon as all that got put on pause, we were like, okay, no more excuses. Like, we really need to sit down and get this thing done. And I think the no distractions. I mean, there's distractions. The world is kind of on fire right now, but no, like, oh, I have to be here. I have to do this. I'm busy with this right now. Like, we're all kind of locked down in our houses, and we just have all this time to really come up with something. So, I mean, there's a lot, that's terrible about all this whole quarantine and this whole year, but I'm really grateful that we have the chance to slow down and just write.
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing in disguise. We were all, I mean, it was just crazy because I was living down in Florida at the time when like all the crazy Corona stuff happened. And I was going to school down there, and that kind of put some things on pause for us, especially with writing and stuff. So just like I guess the world being in the the same space, I guess, and the same kind of time schedule. It kind of like, you know, brought us all back together, and it kind of forced us to be like, hey, like we got some time, like let's pump out a record, and it's just been great ever since. So
yeah, so something that's been interesting on our end, and because we're all living in different states and stuff like that for the most part, and you can't really replace that live writing in the room with someone else feeling. And so we've been really doing our best to try and emulate that over however many states and time zones we're in. So we've been able to hop on like kind of calls like this and really try and collaborate with each other as much as possible, because I think it's so, communication is such a good thing about which creates a great album. So I think that's something that we've been really trying to do our best to say, how can we make this feel like we're in the same room and make it feel like a collaborative band effort.
Any advice for someone that wants to start a band or a music career?
in short, practice.
Yeah.
Practice. And
Never stop practicing.
Yeah, and it's an everyday endeavor. If you think that, you know, writing okay music and just, you know, breezing your way through every day is gonna bring you success, it's not. And it's a patience thing as well. Don't go into it thinking that you're going to take over the world within a year. Most bands, you know, you hear about them that, oh, this band came out of nowhere, but the story, they don't write about the story of them grinding for 6 years in crappy bars and, you know, self-promoting all their records and self-financing all those records. So it's a labor of love. So first of all, love music, and the rest will come.
It's
I also
very
always
similar to like a job too, where it's like Doug was saying, you get out what you put into it, and there's going to be days where it's, you know, it doesn't feel like a lot of fun. There's days where you're sitting and doing like, whether you're doing like press cycle stuff or, you know, then there's fun days where you get to hop on like interviews like this, which are awesome. But there's a lot of days where it's like we're sitting, we're going over songs over and over and over, and we're trying to really get things hashed out and hammered out. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like, don't give up. It is kind of like a job at times, and you're going to have frustrations, but, you know, don't give up on it ever. You know, I know it's easy to kind of get down sometimes with it, but, you know, it's you know, you get what you put into it.
Yeah, I got a short one. I mean, I always say don't ever keep the fact that you're a musician secret. Like, even if you think you suck, because at least for me, like when you're first learning, you never really want to tell people, oh, I play guitar, oh, I sing, because you don't really feel like you're quite good enough yet. But if it is your intention to start collaborating with other people and working with them, especially if you're young, like in high school, college or something, like literally tell everyone you know that you're a musician, put it in your Facebook bio. Like, the sooner that everybody around you knows, like that's pretty much how I've met every bandmate that I have, is them saying, oh, I know this drummer, I know this person, and they wouldn't know that you're a drummer if you didn't tell them. So even if it doesn't matter, you're not telling other musicians like, oh, I do this, like just tell your friends, tell everybody you meet, you know, hey, I'm so-and-so, I sing. And maybe one day somebody will say, hey, I know a guitarist, I should link you two up.
And that's a good point too. Like, surround yourself with good people also. And we're very lucky in Crashing Atlas, where we have some of the hardest working people that I've ever worked with, and some of the nicest, easiest to get along people in the band. And I think when you put good people around you, it doesn't, you know, it makes those bad days better, and it's you can make something you're real proud of.
Very nice, Nick.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was wholesome.
What advice would you give to someone who isn't able to handle long periods of long isolation well?
I mean, you guys give me some advice on that. I'm not doing it.
I noticed we're all different, and we've had this talk internally. Like, I'm a workaholic. I'm so used to kind of every week or every weekend going out and doing something, and being locked down has been real difficult. So I've been trying to like learn something new, and I think like recently I'm trying to get in like videography. Something that, you know, maybe that works for me is just trying to dive into something I've always been interested in and never had the time to really learn. So that's how I cope with it, but everyone's different.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I have something that I love to do every day, and that's write music. But I mean, I guess for me, I would suggest just to anybody, like just find a hobby that consumes your time, and something that you enjoy to do like all the time. And you know, this time that we have right now, it won't seem, you know, not so wasted in a way. So
Yeah, for me, I'm a particularly social butterfly. I mean, I don't like to venture out past, my friend group a lot, but I care about my friends. I like to talk to people that are close to me a lot and see people. It kind of keeps me sane. And I'm just been trying to keep in touch as well as I can. I feel like a lot of people are drifting. Everybody's used to being alone and stuff, and I'm not cool with that. I don't care if you're comfortable with being alone. You got to answer my messages, or else I'm gonna lose it. But yeah, like what Doug said, we're writing all the time, and in my head, I'm like, well, there's nothing else that I need to focus on right now. Like, this is my priority. So I'd say outside of the hobbies, just think about what you want to focus on. What do you want to get out of this year that you can do from your house? Writing, school, exercise, whatever. Just figure something out, make a plan, you know?
Has the coronavirus affected you guys mentally in a way, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we're all going a little insane. I mean, I'd be worried if none of us weren't. I mean, it sucks not being able to go out and see your friends and do the things that you do on a daily basis that you used to do. I mean, I'll be frank with you. I don't like the new norm. I want to go back to what we had. I'm like a very like, yeah, come on, give me a hug, like type person. Like I'm like that kind of person. So like not even like being able to like hug your grandparents or like hug your family member. It's like a weird thing to me. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely messing with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty crappy year. We all kind of went into it expecting one thing and came out with another. And not just like on our musical plans or whatever, but like, relationships and jobs and like everything has kind of changed for everybody. We're always home. We're always stuck with people, that we maybe might want some space from. So yeah, the whole coronavirus thing is definitely mentally, and not just that, but just with the climate of the world right now, it's pretty chaotic and it's pretty hectic. And I think for all of us, all we want to do is create something that can, maybe make people happy, or maybe make this time kind of worth it.
Out of curiosity, guys, you say that you practice an awful lot. What instrument do you mostly like to practice the most with, kind of thing, out of curiosity?
I just sing all the time. Practice singing all the time. I sometimes practice guitar and piano, but mostly to help me practice singing.
I'm a strings guy. I mean, if it's got strings on it, that's what I'm doing. And I mean, and then as of like the past year, I mean, especially with us writing this record, I've been really diving into piano and kind of reteaching myself a little bit of theory, and kind of just trying to make myself better during this quarantine. So, yeah.
I'd say it's not even quite an instrument. Obviously, I lean towards like Doug. We're both string players, but I think something that I know we've been practicing a lot is just songwriting and composition, and it's just as important as practicing your instrument normally. And the more songs, like we've been on a goal for at least me and Doug, we want to write like a decent song every one or two a week. And whether or not they get used for anything, it's kind of not the point. It's more that it's like any other muscle, like going to the gym. You got to work it out, and then that's when you start getting the results. So I think composition and songwriting as a whole is something I know we're really focusing on all together when it comes to this, especially this COVID thing.
What is your favorite current song that you're listening to or play to right now?
Spotify.
Looking at my Spotify, I mean, I've been really jamming Future Nostalgia, Dua Lipa, that album. It's been very, very good. New Lady Gaga album, pretty sick. I mean, not a lot of stuff has, I feel like, been coming out lately, or maybe stuff has, but I don't know. I've kind of been, I feel like I've been cycling the same stuff for most of spring and summer. The Rex and Best Coast, stuff like that. Haley Williams' new album, that one's really good.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Ted Leo and the Pharmacists. I've been kind of getting back into them. Also, it's weird. They're like a K-pop band, but I've been listening to like BTS, which is pretty fun. And then randomly, I've been listening to the new Doom soundtrack, and so it's stuff from all over. So you guys all know I always listen to Bayside every day.
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of the Word Alive, a lot of Slaves, a lot of I Prevail, Amorosa, Silverstein. So yeah, that's my wheelhouse. God, you guys are so eclectic.
I don't think we just named every genre almost. I like country too. No.
Right.
Got to be open-minded, right?
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
That's important. Like when we were always talking, I think that's part of why our songs have been, or at least we've really been enjoying the writing process, because all of us like different things, and you wouldn't think that this group of 4 people would listen to everything from Broadway to country to deathcore to prog rock, to pop. It's everything, and I think you can listen to whatever it is and kind of grab something from it, no matter what kind of music you're playing, and say, oh, I like how they do that, regardless of the genre.
So what are you doing to keep yourself motivated and not give up?
Just talking each other through it,
Yeah.
There's times, when one of us is slacking a little bit or just maybe having a hard time coming up with stuff, and we just have to pick each other up, be like, bitch, I know you're talented. I know you got this. I know you have ideas. I've heard them before and they're good. So chop, try again. This isn't one of those industries where you can just be like, I'm tired. I don't want to anymore. Like the second that you start slacking, somebody else is more than ready to take your place. And we're really not here for that. We're a team, and we all just want to make the best thing. And you can't help yourself sometimes. You get tired, you lose some inspiration, but we just got to shake each other out of it. Bitch, I know you're better than this. Get back on it.
That was motivational. I like that.
Yeah, Nick, anytime you're losing out, bitch, you're better than this.
Yeah, better than this.
We've been really good about also trying to do like almost maybe every Sunday or something. I know Doug and I'll hop, we'll message each other and say, all right, what days are we meeting this week? And we try and like get that planned out as far as possible. This has been real helpful. I think
When we know we have like a collaborative call or something where it's like, okay, on Thursday, I need to have at least some melody ideas for this demo. It's just a little easier to be like, okay, I'll work on it on this day, and I'll work it on this day, and I better have something to come into on Thursday. It's like your homework. You got to do it, whether your ideas suck or not. You got to try.
All right. Any particular gear or instrument you like to use an awful lot?
I love these questions.
Yeah, Nick, I know your itch. Go ahead.
I just bought an 8-string guitar, and we haven't used it on anything, and we probably won't. But I just thought that was cool.
But
it's just ridiculous.
How did I know you were gonna break that thing out? Like,
because it's all I've been telling people the past. Like, I got an 8-string. It's really cool. It sounds disgusting.
You're like the dad that just bought his family a new minivan, and then shows his friends that it has automatic doors. Like,
heated seats too. Check them out. At least so live. A lot of our setup is Doug and I both use the Acoustics 3s for a lot of our live tone, and I know we jump all around when it comes to which guitars and things we're playing. Like right now, I know Doug's a big PRS guy, and that's some of his favorite guitars. I'm, for bass wise, I like playing Dingwall guitars or Dingwall basses and Ibanez basses are kind of my go-tos. And I think we used to have this approach where we were using a lot of like, the triple Rex and, Mark bass amplifiers. And we moved recently to we're using like in-ear monitoring. So we've kind of made that jump into the total digital realm, which has been awesome. And it makes our load in and load out a lot easier.
Is there anything that you guys will see, say, after this has all passed or anything like that?
That we want to see?
Yeah, like anything you want to see happen, basically.
I mean, I'd like to see the venues come back that are going to go down. That's something that we're all nervous about, and we want the best for this industry that we care about so much. We want the best for all the artists that are going to be affected by this, and for everybody, but I just know like live music is something we all have been missing a lot this year, and I just am really hoping that we can find some way to get back to that a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I think you know, I think there's a big correlation to like, you know, with like all the shit that's going on in our world right now, like not having any, I'm not just talking about music. I mean, we're talking about, you know, movies aren't going on, like, you know, Broadway plays, I don't care. Like any form of entertainment, we have zero distraction from anything going on in our lives right now. And I truly believe like that's why the world is on fire right now. So, I mean, for me, I want the entertainment industry just to come back in full force and, you know, give people an outlet to kind of break away from all the madness going on.
Yeah, I think we've really taken for granted what having these outlets, whether anything in the arts, and I think we've really taken for granted what it's like to have that in our life. And I remember, not a week goes by where I message someone in the band and talk, oh, don't you miss that show we played, or don't you miss going to that concert? And something I'd like to see, there was a pretty like staggering figure I saw that there's that upwards of 90% of independent music venues are going to be shutting down because they can't last through this coronavirus. And what I'd like to see is, you know, places that are doing music, you know, when it's safe to do so, let's go out and support them. And you know, even now, if musicians are struggling a lot too, and other artists, it's been tough for everyone. And I'd like to see us all kind of come together after this pandemic, and let's try and really support those places, because we're going to miss them even more when they're gone, you know, when things open back up, and we kind of look back and say, well, where can we actually go to listen to music anymore? It doesn't. So I'd like to see us really support venues, support other artists and things like that, and kind of help each other through this time.
We just love to play another country. I mean, that would be killer. I mean,
I've never even been to another country, so
yeah. So that's what we have to do for Merv, because she's never been to another country. So like,
exactly.
I think it's in our cards for 2021 if venues reopen. Us getting somewhere besides the continental U.S. That's a big goal of ours.
Yeah, it'd be cool to leave the States and play a show. Even Canada, I'd be stoked about.
Yeah,
Canada, hey.
You'd be welcome, man.
Yep.
We have to watch a hockey game up there.
How is the difference between making your first EP and making your recent releases in terms of work process?
The first one, we didn't know what we were doing. The second one, we
still don't know what we're doing.
We still don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it in a more organized fashion.
I'm going to give us some credit on this one. I actually think this is probably the most organized project I've ever been a part of. I've recorded a few EPs, and we haven't started recording yet, but our demo process and everything it's been pretty cool.
Oh no, I mean, I'm blown away that we're doing it. It's just I guess right now with the whole COVID thing and us basically writing a record via the internet, basically. That's thrown another wrench into a lot of things, but I think in a way it's been a blessing in disguise, because I mean we've been able to just sit down and focus, and it's been a really good process this time over. The last time it was like, you know, we basically wrote the amount of songs that we needed to, and then we just called it a day. But this time we're writing like triple the amount of songs that we need to, and we're sifting through the best of the best. So we think that this one's going to be by far one of our better works. So
we're also putting a lot more time, and part of, like you said, the blessing in disguise with the whole COVID thing is we're putting a lot of energy into the pre-production side of it. And so a lot of times bands will go into the studio maybe with like half-finished songs or just kind of like ideas, and they'll try and figure it out there. And something we've been doing is we're really trying to replicate what we would do in the studio internally, so that way when we go in there we have these kind of polished ideas. And I think we're lucky enough where all of us are pretty familiar with the recording process, and we have our own little home studio setups. And like just this past Sunday, Marina came down and came down to my place and we tracked vocals, demo vocals on 4 different songs. And that way, when we actually go and work with our producer, we can go in and say, here's a more complete body of work, you know, and I think it's an easier launching point to kind of take that idea and then say, okay, how can we refine that and make it better?
Yeah. Spot on.
What has been the marketing and promoting the music like?
We haven't really gotten to do much of that yet because we haven't really released anything yet. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like exactly, just because the layout of the music world is going to be so different than what we know. You know, usually we'd market with like an EP release show and stuff like that, which I don't know. I'm not really sure what we're going to do yet. We're still kind of brainstorming, to be honest, because our minds are really less on the let's figure out how to market this side and more on the let's finish this and then let's figure out how to market it once we're kind of done knowing what it's going to be. Because at the moment, we don't even really have a working title. We don't have any idea for our aesthetic for the record. I think once we get a good handle on what we want it to be called, what we want it to be about, what we want it to get across, like that's when we'll kind of figure out what are some appropriate and creative ways that we can market this idea.
Yeah, and I think Miranda brings up a good point. Like, being creative nowadays is such a big thing because the landscape is totally different, and you're even seeing bands now that have already released stuff. They have to go through kind of different measures to reach out with their fans, whether it's through things like live streams and better work maybe on mailing lists and taking a better step in the social media direction. But I think that's something we're actively we were talking about it today. Like, what can we do to kind of say to kind of like set ourselves apart from some of the other bands and, you know, keep that engagement that you'd get at a live show when you get to meet a band after, and how can we kind of wrap that into something that we can still do while we're all in separate zip codes and make that happen. But
Did you guys say you had some new works coming out eventually soon or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a date or anything yet. We kind of want to play it by ear based on this whole pandemic and everything. You know, it's going to be our first new body of work in quite a bit of time, and we want to take advantage of, you know, anything we can, any opportunities we can get. And so I'm assuming it'll probably come out next year, maybe late this year if we're lucky, but no promises on anything.
yeah, we have studio time scheduled, which is good. So we're going to be going, and we're going to keep everyone on social media and everything in the loop as we're going through the whole process with it. So we have studio time booked for August, which will be great. And then, so a little bit, you know, it's not as simple as you go in August. After August is done, you have a finished album, and there's a lot of moving parts to that, whether it's the mixing, the mastering, you know, the press cycle and things like that, music videos. So I think we're definitely going to have our hands full with a lot of stuff. It may seem like it's like, oh, why does it take so long for an EP or an album to happen? But there's so many moving parts that you kind of only see behind the scenes a little bit. And we're going to try and be as transparent as we can while we're making this stuff and make it so our fans and stuff can kind of see what we're going through and what some of the process is like.
Any current plans to release acoustic tracks?
I like acoustic stuff. I guess we'll see how the songs will translate. It is interesting.
Current plan VP, you know.
It is interesting. Like, we've definitely done some acoustic stuff. Like, we released an acoustic cover a month or two ago, and we definitely, like, as we start writing some of these songs, it's always interesting how they translate acoustically. But we did
an acoustic live stream a few weeks back, and some of the songs actually translated pretty nice.
It's always the songs you kind of would least expect sometimes, that you'll have this maybe heavier or more electronic heavy song, and you're like, how is this going to work acoustically? And then, you know, sometimes you'll be like, there's no way this is going to sound great. And then you kind of sit and try it out. And it's like, oh, this does work pretty well, actually.
Do you have any plans of releasing, like, content video-wise, like music videos or live videos?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of music videos with this record. I mean, we do know that much.
I think we thrive with our video content in a big way. It's a lot of the reason why anyone follows us is they've seen some of our videos. So definitely that's a big priority for us. And live videos, I mean, it just depends on the show. It depends on, you know, if that's something we really want to capture. I mean, it's always been a really big, goal of mine to get a really sick like recording of one of our shows, just to have. But we'll see what happens. If there's any shows that we're like, we need to set it up so we can record the audio nicely and get some really great video, because it would cost about as much to do all that it would to make a real music video.
Yeah, and something video-wise, I know we've been real interested in too is doing more like kind of behind the scenes of like a music video, and find ways to kind of do cool new content that I know a lot of people are actually interested. Like, well, what's it like on the set of a music video? And I think that's stuff people would like to see, whether it's musicians or just fans.
What was your experience like filming any of the music videos?
Go ahead, Murph.
So I want Marina to talk about Eastside.
About Eastside?
Yeah, that was because you remember how hot it was?
Yeah, I thought you wanted me to talk about the one where I was drinking the whole
You
time.
literally got drunk. Yeah.
Actually, every single one of our video shoots has been kind of a story. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the East Side video was weird because we were planning to go out and shoot on this airport path or whatever, and it was closed. There were no airplanes coming in there. I don't know. But before we left, it started storming, like summer storm, like crazy. It was August, like holy crap. And we live in Maryland, which it's a swamp here. I'm not even kidding. It's historically built on a swamp. It's like one of the most humid places in the country, I'm pretty sure. And once the storm ended and we went out there, my hair was all stuck to my face and everybody was sweating, and it was just disgusting. It was just and I didn't even I had just joined, so I didn't have molded in-ear monitors yet, and they did, and we were listening to our backing track and our music through the in-ear monitors, and so I had to use those crappy like $20 ones that you just squish in your ear, which never actually work, and they kept flying out. So I was moving my hair and I was pushing the headphone back in and moving it and pushing it back in. So
and it's more than just 3 minutes. When you're filming a music video, it's hours, because it's like we had drone footage and stuff there. So for how many takes we had to do, you could audibly, like, or visually, when you watch the video, you can kind of tell by which take, by how sweaty we were. And we were worried, like, continuity wise, it wasn't all going to mesh, because we were pouring sweat.
It was gross.
We had another music video that we shot for one of our, I think it was 2 singles ago, was the song Monster, which was, we originally planned when we got there at the venue, we planned this kind of big, or it was at a friend's house actually, that had like this kind of big mansion style house. So we originally were going to do it in like the backyard there, but then I remember I don't know if it rained or something the night before. We have bad problems with rain in shooting videos.
It's
Maryland. So it was a little like muddy out there. So kind of on the flip of a dime, we moved everything to like inside, and we set up like lighting and stuff like that. And it was definitely a fun music video. Part of it, if you've seen it, like it's about, the video itself kind of seems like it's about like alcohol abuse, but it can be towards anything. And to actually like kind of like, we were actually doing actual shots of vodka for a lot of it.
They weren't like full. Okay, so here's the thing is I asked for fake ones and they basically just watered down real ones. And I was like, you guys, like, don't do this to me. But I didn't know, like, it was like, all right, get ready for the shoot. And I'm like, you're giving me a fake one, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm giving you a fake one. And then I have to do it for the shot, and I took it, and I'm like, you guys absolutely suck. Like, you're sabotaging.
Had to get a real reaction.
And they were sabotaging me. So that was an adventure. I had a lot of fun during that video shoot. All our friends were there. It was really cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I think we had 30 friends there that were all kind of there as extras. It's like, it was kind of like a cocktail party vibe. So everyone like dressed up, was looking all classy, and we did the performance shots earlier in the day, and then we did all like the plot shots in the evening, and it was so much fun. And thank you, Fuzz, if you're listening to this out there. He's the guy who let us shoot at his house. Thank you so much. It was awesome.
So do you think that social media, free concerts, or live interviews would be good for bands and musicians during this time?
Yes. We're not left with a ton of options right now without without there being a lot of venues and things like that. Social media, live streams, I think for bands to succeed in not only the fact that it's a digital era, but the fact that we really can't go out, like even in 2021, we don't know if there's going to be a lot of shows, and we don't know if COVID makes a comeback. So I'd say bands that are adapting to the changes going on in the scene I think we'll have a little bit more success. And we were actually told, like, there's nothing wrong with like trying out live streams. Your first couple may not be great right off the bat, but like it's a learning process, and all the other bands are in the same boat trying to figure this out. So I think definitely that's a huge part of what the future of music's going to be. You know, everyone lives on their phones nowadays. People want music now. They want it in their hands. They want it digitally. And as much as I think there's always going to be a market for live music, I think, you know, it's just the society we live in today. Everyone likes digital.
Would you guys care to elaborate on what your main influence on music would be, kind of thing?
Our main influence? I mean, from what I gather from people that listen to us and stuff, that, I mean, people tend to lump a lot of female-fronted bands together and stuff, but those have always been like a huge influence for me, wanting to be like a female rock singer and everything. And people always say stuff like Evanescence, Flyleaf, maybe like Paramore's heavier stuff, like some Pretty Reckless kind of vibes. And but I mean, with this new stuff we're writing, it's been kind of all over the place. We have one song that from the second I heard it, I was like, this is like giving me like such Pierce the Veil vibes, and Pierce the Veil is like one of my favorite bands. And just all kinds of other stuff. We've been playing with really big riffs, which, you know, not a ton of the bands I listed are doing. So I'm not even sure what our influences are for this new record. It's kind of just everything that we've all been listening to.
Yeah, I think correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I think it was that the initial conversation we got like everything rolling with like everything that we're doing now was, I was like, yo, the Word Alive just dropped this new record. It's sick. Like, I think that we should like, you know, explore something like this. And ever since, you know, we like got on that same wavelength, instrumentally anyway, we decided like, you know, that was kind of going to be the vibe of what we were going to be doing moving forward.
So it's no secret, like, I guess I know especially me and Doug were influenced largely by bands like Linkin Park, and we kind of grew up, you know, playing music a lot in that early mid 2000s, and that where there was a lot of like new metal and stuff like that. And you're actually starting to see a little bit of a resurgence with that in bands like The Word Alive and Silverstein, where they're kind of going back to, you know, it's not complex shredding, it's just these super catchy riffs, you know, really kind of like moody, dark lyrics and vocals at times. And I kind of like how modern bands have been taking like modern production and stuff, and then kind of bringing back some of those new metal influences into it, and you get this real cool pop, you know, electro almost infused new metal, and it's delicious, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys miss most of all about the shows you guys did?
Performing.
The crowds.
Not load in and load out.
Yeah.
Although even at this point, I kind of miss it just because.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I just miss playing for people. I mean, that's my favorite part of like, I love create, like, it's like I love creating the music, and then once I have it created, it's like, okay, I have this thing. Now what do I do with it? I go out and play it. Like, that's what I miss. I just miss seeing like faces of people like in the crowd, like just like their eyes are lit up, and you know, they're having a ball. Like that's, I want that back. So hopefully it's soon.
Exactly like Doug said, when you're on stage and you can see that like these people in front of you, no matter what's going on with their personal lives at home with their friends and family, to kind of maybe let them escape that for a bit, and let everyone in the room, no matter who you are, what your beliefs are, and what your background is, everyone kind of come together in one moment and just say, I'm happy, I'm enjoying this music. And to me, there's no greater feeling in the world than watching people happy through music. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but you can, like Doug said, you can just kind of see the look in the eyes of the people when you're on stage, and you can kind of, you really, there's this energy in the room that you really can't explain, and you can't replicate it just sitting at home.
Yeah, not just for them, but like for us too. You know, sometimes we show up to shows and we're like, we've had a crappy day, and we're fighting with somebody, and you know, things are just going badly or whatever. And if you've never been on stage and you never like felt that rush of confidence, like they have no idea what you're going through in your personal life outside of what your music is about. And you know, you could be having the worst day, and you get on stage, and whoosh, there's this rush of confidence and adrenaline and joy, and it kind of melts away, and you just feel really good about everything.
What are the logistics behind tours locally?
I've booked a good handful of local shows and tours and stuff, and generally it's just having a good relationship sometimes with the promoters or venue owners. It's knowing some decent locals that can hop onto the bill. It's knowing your worth, asking for a solid guarantee, and just it's not too difficult to figure out. Just you learn the ropes pretty quickly.
Something I'd tell every band to do as you kind of get out there is have an accurate stage plot. It doesn't matter if you've emailed it to them before. Try and keep one on you. That's something that I'd also say too, is whenever you get to a venue and you're loading in logistically, one of the first people I try and talk to is the sound guy and say, hey, you're going to be engineering us. Here's what our setup's like. How can we make this easy for you? Do you want us to backline anything, and make sure that kind of as much of that is planned out in advance. And also, it's the worst thing I think you can do as a band logistically when you're playing shows is to show up after load-in. Like you got to be there. I know load-in sometimes will seem stupidly early, like, oh, we're not playing till 8. Why do we have to be there at 3 p.m.? Show the venue respect, and they're having you play on their stage. Come and be there when they need you to be there. Have your stuff where it needs to be so they can do their jobs. That's logistically, I think, the best thing you can do for local shows.
Also, singers, if you don't want to get sick and you don't want to be gross and you can afford it, try bringing your own mic, because everybody's been spitting and screaming and slobbering all over that thing that they have up there. Just
terrible.
The default. You probably want to bring your own if you don't want all their cooties and stuff, especially with this Rona going around. Like, I'm not sharing any mics.
Any venues you guys would like to perform at?
Oh
Whatever's left.
Yeah, what's gonna be left? Red Rocks.
Red Rocks, Wembley, the usual.
Yeah, yeah. We'll play it whatever ones are left, and that will have us.
We will play dirty basement, dirt floor venues if at this point, because it's been just so. It's something we miss so much, but and anywhere that's I know. Auto Bar has always been one of our favorite places that we like going to, and the times we've gotten to play there has always been really cool. I know that's one of my favorites.
I personally don't have places like I can't wait to play or I wish I would play. I keep my expectations low when it comes to the venues, because sometimes the venues that I'm least expecting to be incredible are the best, and sometimes the ones that I'm expecting to be the most incredible venues are kind of the most boring and whatever, like they're not as good as you think they would be. And I'm not saying that about like Wembley or whatever. I'm saying for realistic stages that we could play, and I just try to keep my mind open about it. And if we ever do get really cool opportunities like festivals or stages that like some of our favorite bands have played, it's really more like a wow, I can't believe we get to do this, rather than an I've always dreamed of this kind of moment,
We always have a good time anytime we're playing a festival show. So like we did, I can't remember, we played Rockfest, and we got to watch side stage, bands like Godsmack, Hailstorm, done a bunch of other artists kind of on that level. And I think one of the coolest things for us is playing those festival shows is kind of watching how people that we idolize and bands we look up to, and kind of see how their whole thing works behind the scenes, and getting to meet those people. So I'd say any festival show is normally the top of my list when it comes to most fun.
So what are some ways people can support you while they're in self-isolation?
I mean, just follow us on social media and everything, check out our YouTube channel and stuff. That's all we can really ask for, is just stay updated with us.
Yeah.
We have some old merch we want to get rid of too, if you want to take that off our shoulders.
Yeah, we have an online merch store, which is great. We're pretty active on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
We got a Twitter too.
Yeah, we have a Twitter too. We need to tweet more, I guess. But we've been doing it. We're going to start getting on a schedule with it. We're doing regular interactive live streams and things like that. And I think that's always a cool way for fans to kind of support us, because I think what keeps us motivated is knowing that people maybe want to hear new songs from us. That keeps me motivated.
So, do you have any merch that you like to showcase?
Yeah, we do. You want to talk about it? I'll bring up the exact link.
Oh, I mean, we really want to do a merch restock. We haven't really gotten new merch in a while, but we have a whole bunch of old stuff, and the old shirts are great, but it's been a while. We'd like to rebrand. So if you want to help us support the record, it's crashingatlas.com, right?
Crashingatlas.com/shop, and
Yeah.
or you search Crashing Atlas Shop. So some of the cool things we do is I actually think we keep a lot of us, because Marina was saying we eventually we're just trying to get new merch in. So a lot of our old stuff is actually priced pretty reasonable for band shirts. Like
Pretty
one
cheap.
of our t-shirts is just $8, which is decent for a band. Or we have bundles that have like our SNDP, and then also you can get a shirt too. But yeah, we always keep our online store up to date when it comes to what we have in stock and size-wise. So if you see on there and something you like, check it out. We always we appreciate any support.
All the shirts are like $10 closer to us making another spanking pretty new music video.
Yeah.
Well, any bands you guys would recommend by any chance?
Ooh. Well, what do you guys normally kind of listen to?
Whatever catches their fancy, really. But
Marina, you know, go first. I know you had a lot of stuff you've been listening to recently.
Yeah, I've been listening to a ton of stuff. I've been listening to a lot of chill stuff just because I've been home and not driving around all the time and stuff. But you know, I've been listening to a good amount of Death Cab for Cutie lately. That's been really chill. The Pretty Reckless seems to be coming back with some new music soon, so that's exciting. I've been jamming Poppy all year. I freaking love Poppy. Haley Williams' new album, The Rex. You know, Beach Bunny, Water Parks. Water Parks is pretty sick. And Wallows. I like Wallows a lot. And generally, I'm a pretty big pop fan. I really love pop music, so I've been just nonstop playing Dua Lipa's new album like the whole year.
I've been getting really into like the new Polaris album that came out. Was awesome. I like a lot of the Australian metalcore bands they're kicking so much butt. So any good Australian metalcore band I'll normally support. The Weeknd's new album was really great. I've been listening to that a lot. I've been also, you know, Bayside too. I like their self-titled album, is one of my favorites. I always recommend that to anyone who likes alternative music. And I've been on an Alkaline Trio kick too, so I love Alkaline Trio.
Where can people find the band on social media?
We're just we're either at Crashing Atlas like on Instagram, or we're Crashing Atlas Band like on Facebook. It's one or the other, but crashingatlas.com, youtube.com/crashingatlas. If you don't see just /Crashing Atlas or at Crashing Atlas, there's probably the word band afterwards, but we're pretty easy to find. You know, we have a link tree with all of our links on it on our Instagram bio. So
That Marina just made it, by the way. Good job.
yeah, just made a cute little link tree, so you can just click one link and then you can just get the options for all the other ones.
And eventually, when shows are going on, we'd love to meet everyone in person. You know, we'd love to see you guys at shows.
Definitely.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up the interview?
Just thank you guys for having us, and just keep an eye out for new music. I think this is gonna be, you know, it's gonna be a lot better than anything we've ever put out before. We're all just really excited to be a part of it, and it'll be on our socials as soon as we get started on it, you know. But
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for the interview, and yeah, looking forward to see what you guys do with this. All right, thank you guys.
Doug.
Appreciate it.